Welcome back, everyone, to Let's Play The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons. In the previous episode, we delved through the rest of the Unicorn's Cave, obtained a new item called the Magnetic Gloves, then defeated an old foe in Digdogger, and obtained our 5th Essence of Nature. Yeah, you see it there. So in this episode, we're going to be using our newly obtained Magnet Gloves to do some, well, I'll be frank with you, this is going to be mainly a side quest episode. Not that it's going to be boring, though, because there are going to be quite a few interesting things to find. And if we just so happen to have the time, we're going to be getting a very nice item upgrade, and I might have shot myself in the foot here. So let's clear some of this out, because if any Maple drops anything important on top of a snowdrift, okay, on one hand, there's nothing important in this, so there's nothing to lose. On the other hand, there's nothing important to grab. Quick timeout for some Pegasus seeds. Don't worry, we made a profit off of those. Gotcha. Yeah, shame you couldn't drop a heart piece right by us this time. Anyway, the main reason we went over to the screen is because we may or may not have forgotten to plant the Gasha seed here before we enter the dungeon. But now we have one here to check on later on. Get these unusually placed levers out of the way. And so we're going to be starting off our usual post-dungeon rounds by heading off to where else but Haron Village. And we're going to kick this off by, what else? Visiting Vasu's. Worth mentioning real fast though, this screen right here is actually a place where you can encounter Maple. So keep that in mind, because, you know, this big obstruction in the center in the form of Vasu's shop can get in the way if you're not careful. And so, let's check out these rings, shall we? And by that I mean ring. And it is the Peace Ring. If you're makes it so if you are holding a bomb, it will not blow up, so you don't have to worry about it blowing up before you throw it and causing yourself damage, and so you can time your shots. It's got a bit of niche use, but it's there if you want it. We're gonna keep our current loadout for the time being. And of course our next stop is the Maku Tree. Let's see if anything new has grown up in his higher reaches. And sure enough, just for starters, there's a Gasha seat sitting right here. Although, there isn't anything different in here. So yeah, the Gasha seat is the only new addition. Kind of disappointing for the climb it takes to get up here. I'm really just exaggerating that a little. It's just, you know, it only takes like 30 seconds. It's just the fact that you gotta go through these screens, and you gotta use a Pegasus seat every time you change them, and it's just, anyway. Alright, now for stuff to do outside the village. First off, I'm gonna correct a bit of a mistake I made, well, you saw what happened back in episode 17. So this time we're gonna be going near the entrance of level 2, for good reason this time. As you see, there's a cave there with rock mushrooms blocking the way. This is the one I must have been thinking of earlier on when we went back here early in chapter 5. Just for some reason I thought that we had to swim, that it was something you could get with the flippers, not with the ability to summon Autumn and then use the Magnet Gloves to get ourselves across this gap. In this chest here we'll find a ring. We'll have to get that appraised and see what's in it. What it is, that is to say. And so, this is another ring that's guaranteed to be a very specific one every time you open the chest. This is the Moblin Ring. Yet another transformation ring, and I believe that completes our set, doesn't it? Oh wait, not just that. No, that's not a set completer. That's a repeat. But anyway, if you didn't get the Moblin Ring from a random spot already, that's one place where you're guaranteed to get it. If you want to wander around town looking like a Moblin for whatever reason, it's there for you. Our next stop is actually in North Haron, but we need to go through Spool Swamp for a couple reasons. First of all, is a quick preview of where we're going to be heading a little later on. You see, mind that thing sitting on the tree over there. To this log just sitting here all along looks like a gate. We carry treasure maps for our own shop. Yeah, who's actually going to come over here to see that? But now we know that treasure map and these sparkling locations must correlate to the gate somehow, and sure enough, we already have 2 jewels that would fit in 2 of those holes, don't we? So it looks like we gotta find 2 more, and they seem to correspond with the other 2 glowy spots on the treasure map, but we got some other stuff to take care of just first. We want to head on to North Haron, but since the only tree stump in the area is right next to Spool Swamp, it was just a little easier overall to do this. And as you'd expect, we need it to be fall. Excuse me, as we go back to the Pegasus seeds because, duh. A whole lot of fallen leaves over here considering there's no trees. I mean, I guess the wind blew them all over there. Well, let's see, do we have a... No, we don't. Might as well put one here. How many Gasha seeds do we have? 4. Okay, we're good. And the seed runs out. Yeah, we got these gaps in the ground here, but they're no real problem. You can just jump over them. Just a little further. And we want to head down here. That Pegasus seed has served us well. And if you remember, just south of here, we have these rock mushrooms just growing right where it's most inconvenient. Let's let the River's Oars shoot first. Gotcha. And snipe. Yeah. Look at that mushroom throwing. Who knew that was a talent? Careful around this cave, you got Kapanga flowers everywhere. Just a little further, just stick to the upper part here. It's not all that difficult if you don't overthink things. And inside this chest right over here is another ring and another guaranteed ring. We'll see what that is in just a minute, but we got something to check on in North Harone first. Because if you remember... Well, this isn't good. There we go. Ooh, wow, that was close. Because if you remember, we found a Gasha soil spot just a little while ago. And now, why don't we check on the nut that sprouted there? Let's see what's inside. Surprise, surprise, another ring. We'll take that. And before we head out to Harone Village to get them appraised, let's plant another seed. So, let's see what those 2 rings we picked up have. Well, we know what one of them's going to be. I know what one of them's going to be. I'll explain shortly, but what's the other one going to be? Short time no see, Vasu. Got a couple more for you to appraise. There we go. Yes, I know. We've gotten how many quicksand rings already? But that one in the cave there that we just went through is a guaranteed quicksand ring. And again, there are some specific situations where it helps a lot to have one. So that's one spot where you know you'll have one to fall back on. But what did we get from the Gasha tree? Another Moblin ring. Come on. I know my luck can be kind of dodgy, but this is a little ridiculous. Not gonna lie though, I half expected it to be another quicksand ring. So now we want to wait a minute. Okay, that was the wrong button. Our next stop is actually in Mount Kuko. So to do that, we're gonna have to take that roundabout shortcut through Subrosia. Yeah, I see you in a minute. And so what is just a short run through the underground, that's covering a lot of distance above ground. And we're back at Mount Kuko. And right next to a tree stump. How convenient. Don't have to go out of our way for it like we do from North Harone. And Holodrum Plain. And etc. Look at these locations right someday. So anyway, these rock mushrooms had taunted us through so much of Chapter 4. We can now just lift out of the way effortlessly. And now we can reach this Gasha soil spot, which is another rare one. And so, as per usual, you can get some very good prizes there. Rings from tiers 2 to 4, although it's a pain to get to, so, yeah, you might not be going to that one very often. But now, we want to take care of quite a few things back in Subrosia, actually. Good thing there's a portal right here, right? And in fact, this will drop us off right where we want to go to at first. So if you remember, over in the Subrosian wilds here, do you say anything different? Some weird guy's called oh wait, no, you already said that. Yeah, the guy talking about the Pirations. You? No, you say the same thing. You're 2 of those NPCs that don't change their dialogue depending on what is going on in the game. But if you remember, there was that there was this screen down here with all these gaps and these south poles here. South poles. Anyway, use the magnet gloves across here, and it is sitting in this chest we've been looking at for a while is blue ore. Well, it's a key item, so you know it's got to be helpful. But also over here in this very clearly marked dig spot is something else nice. It's a ring. As far as I can tell, that is not a guaranteed one. I believe it is a random ring from tier 2. So, it will be a decent one however you scratch it. It's just something. And so we do have more to do with the magnet gloves in Subrosia, but we're going to have to traverse quite a bit of the map to get to our next spot. See you, all the way on the east side. So those of you who remember episode 18, yes, that was episode 18, might remember this little area right here. Another thing we couldn't reach without having the magnet gloves. And now we can reach it. And there is an unusually nondescript cave in here with the house theme of all things. And not just that, the house theme that doesn't play in Subrosia. Not sure what's going on there, but here we have red ore. And if you remember, there was an NPC Subrosian saying that if you melted blue ore and red ore down together, you get very, very hard ore. Well, if we wanted to get some kind of metal smelted down, where would we go? How about to the screen just north of here that we have to get to in a roundabout fashion by going east? Let's head to the furnaces. They got the above ground house theme in here too. Not sure why, but it is. Yeah. You have red ore and blue ore. Did you come to mix the two to create hard ore? Well, no, sure, why not? Then we'll get right on it. This is pretty good. Okay, here goes. I'm not exactly sure what the purpose of that dance is. I mean, you know, maybe it's some kind of ritualistic thing. Maybe it's supposed to encourage whatever spirits or deities they worship to make their craft as good as it can be. Maybe it's just there to pass the time and have a little fun. But either way, our hard ore's done. Watch out, he says it's hot. But even though it's hot, we can just walk up over here and pick it up. We got hard ore now. But what do we do with that? Well, we're gonna have to head back to the northwest. Although we will be making a quick stop along the way. So, we find ourselves here right back near the first portal. If you remember, just a little while ago, we found this area up here with a south pole, let's call it that again, and something off to the side. Well, you see, if you go over here and dig in the corner, you'll find something nice. And just a real quick heads up, make absolutely sure you're facing one of these corners before you dig. Because there's a gold ore chunk here, and it would be an awful shame if the momentum from you digging it up carried it into the lava. I've had that happen before. It's not fun. So with that out of the way, I gotta say, it is a bit of a drag waiting this long to get a couple of these item upgrades coming up, especially compared to other Zelda games where you can get multiple upgrades for said items. Is this the right house? Sometimes even I forget. No, I believe it's a little further off to the west. Oh, it's like every time I fall into the lava, I end up doing it a second time. I don't know why. This is the correct place, right? No, that's the lava soup guy. Hold on a second. There it is. Okay, we're headed to the Subrosian smithy. 1, not 2 this time. Ah, screw it. Let's make it 2. Okay. Turns out we didn't have to jump across there. We had to head to the south. Okay. So we're gonna head over here. This is the guy we want, the Subrosian smithy. So, welcome to the Subrosian smithy. We do the finest work in the land, but we only take on jobs that interest us. The two and back are masters of the trade. I'm just a manager. We said this before, but here's something new. Huh? The master speaks. Is that so? The master misses nothing. That hard ore can make your cheap shield amazingly fine. So what'll it be? You got a choice of dialogue options here. You'd think you want to say make it fine, right? Because that's what he asked. Well, fine? You put too much value on your belongings. Try again later. So we have to leave and come back. And, personally, I kind of think this kind of helps emphasize the cultural differences between the Subrosians and your above ground folk. It's just, you know, like their customs are a little different, their figures of speech are a little different. It's just a neat little world building thing, regardless of whether it was regardless of whether the intention was that or not. It's kind of cool. So this time we actually want to say, do whatever. Do whatever? Say no more. Master, he says do whatever. And that ends up working. Sorry for the wait. This is why he's a master. The finest work in all the land. Take it. Treat it like an heirloom. You got an iron shield. And yes, now we finally have an upgrade for our shield. I know it's not the fanciest or prettiest upgrade out there, but it's very nice. So in addition to looking cooler when you wear it, the iron shield will block a whole lot of additional types of projectiles that the wooden shield couldn't. Namely, fireballs and magic blasts. We're going to be seeing a lot of those coming up in future dungeons and locations, so having a shield that can handle those is going to be very, very, very helpful. Oh, and if you thought that whole thing with the dialogue tree was evident of some interesting things going on with Subrosians, take a look in back there. You see all those shovels? You think, oh, it's just kind of a throwaway thing. Hey, this is a smithy. They're just going to put a bunch of item sprites back there to show that off. But when you think about it, it makes sense that shovels would be in high demand when the Subrosians' main form of currency is ore they dig out of the ground. So with that interesting thing out of the way, I think we've hit a very good stopping point for now. Because you see, we still had a couple more jewels to take care of. And by take care of, I mean obtain. And so, next time on Let's Play The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons, we're going to search the land of Holodrum, and by that I mean use our treasure map, because it just gives them away, to find the rest of the jewels. Then, take a look at what lies beyond that gate in the ruins, and just maybe find ourselves another item upgrade that might be even better. So, see you guys then.